Hello everybody. Well, I recently did a video on the fuel pipes in the engine bay and reasons why you need to change them and sizes, etc. I'll provide a link on top of the screen if you haven't seen it. So this is a follow-up video of sorts looking at the fuel pipes at the other end of the car, in the boot or trunk. So just as a reminder, between the engine bay here and the rear of the car, it's essentially hard lines. It's that line just there, that pipe in the centre of the screen. So that goes from the engine bay either side, underneath the car, and to the rear. There is a very short piece of rubber that sits right above the IRS in the rear here. But to be honest, the ones on my car were in pretty good condition and they're quite well protected under there, so I'd probably recommend, unless you're dropping the rear IRS and subframe for any reason, that you don't go and try and change those as a standalone job. I'll see if I can find them and just show you what sort of condition they're in. So here we are in the rear of the car. I've removed the spare wheel and the battery and fuel pump cover so we can see everything. And the first thing to say is, how would you know you've got any sort of issue back here? Well, quite simply, you'd be able to smell it. When you open the trunk or boot cover of the car, you'll be hit with kind of a fuel wafting smell. It might not be very strong, it might only be slight, or it might be kind of really overpowering. But yeah, that's essentially how you know you've got some sort of issue back here. Because this is quite an enclosed environment, it will kind of build up the fumes enough for you to be able to smell. So if you've got a smell, you have a leak, put simply. A leak or very old hoses that are kind of passing fuel through their membrane. So I'm just going to go through all the hoses in turn. We'll start with the ones that are on the fuel supply to the engine. So out at the bottom of the tank here, you've got this hard line that goes into this fat piece of hose just here, down the hard line just there, into another short piece of hose, and then it goes into this black tank here, which is your fuel sump tank. So this is where the pickup is for the fuel pump. Alongside that, you've got this vent line that goes back up into the tank. So it comes out of this brass fitting here. It goes into a rubber hose just here. Mine's a rubber braided coated one. It's like an aftermarket one, but usually that would be rubber. And then that goes down there. And hopefully you can make this out, but it goes into an elbow fitting on the very top of the sump tank, just in there. So connections to this tank, you've got one in the side there, that's the main fuel feed. You've got this vent pipe going back up into the tank, and then finally you have this pipe, another large one. This comes out of the top of the vent tank just there, goes around and into the feed to the fuel pump. From the fuel pump, there's a smaller hose that comes out the bottom near where the wiring connections are. That comes up in the back of the tank through these protective pieces into the inlet of the fuel filter just here. And then you have this right-angled hose. You can see these are original ones I've got here. It comes out, goes along, down, wraps around the bottom of the tank just there, and it goes into that fitting just there. That's another compression fitting that goes into the hard line underneath the car. On this little sump tank down here, this brass fitting on the top here that feeds the fuel pump, you may have an additional connection on here, and I've got another one here like this. So this is the same piece that sits in the tank down there, but you can see this has an extra little connection. This is like another vent piece essentially. I think it was fitted as a recall at some point in the XJS's life, but yeah, you'll have another hose that kind of goes up here, comes up and joins up in the vent system in the top here. The fuel return is much simpler. This brass fitting just here is where the hard line comes through from underneath the car, goes through a compression fitting into this short length of hose and into this fitting on the lower left corner of the tank just there. So that's the fuel supply and return, kind of the main bits of the tank if you like. It looks a lot more complicated than it is, I guess, when you're kind of standing here, but the final bit is the tank venting. So up in the top corner here, let me just remove that, you have 3 small hose points. These are the tank vent lines. So these vent lines as standard are a little bit complicated. What they do is they all come out of the tank just here from these three positions. They go up into the buttress just up there where there is a canister that kind of combines them all together like a steel pressed canister. And then they come out of that canister into what's called a Rochester valve. And from there, they go through down into the bottom there into a little hard line and to the front of the car. This is how the closed ventilation system works on the fuel tank. So they come out of the tank, they're collected by a little sump tank, they go through a valve, they're taken to the front of the car, and in theory they are burnt in the engine, thus minimising evaporative losses. And here is that little system. I removed it from my car, but these, I think it's that one and I think that one as well, are the hoses that connect to the tank. So they go up like this into the bottom of this kind of four-way canister. So this is the item. It's just an empty shell, essentially. You can see mine's a bit rusty. But this sits up in the buttress. And then one of the outlets to that goes to this little device, which is the Rochester valve. You can see mine was leaking quite nicely. And then from there, it goes to the front of the car. If you have a fuel smell in your boot, but you can't really see any leaks, it's probably highly likely that something in all of this assembly is leaking. And yeah, that's the reason mine's sitting here and not sitting just there in the car anymore. So a note on replacing all of this lot: you will need to drain the fuel tank if you plan on replacing any of these kind of lower level hoses. So any of the ones to do with fuel supply, fuel return, or the ones around the sump tank, you're going to have to drain the fuel tank. I did do another video on a quick and least messy way to do that, utilising the fuel pump and the relay just there. So I will add a link at the top of the screen and somewhere in the description if you want to watch that. It's a nice easy way to drain the system. So as you can imagine, there's lots of things in here that can leak. You might notice my tank looks fairly new, shiny and rust free. That's actually because this tank was replaced by the previous owner to me who owned the car. He only had it a short time, but yeah, he replaced that because it was leaking and there was fuel smells and things. That's the reason the boot is still stripped out like this and not quite got back to retrimming it yet. I do still have a very slight whiff of fuel in here when I open the trunk, so despite having kind of been through it, I think I need to do a bit more work in here. Maybe replace all of these factory hoses that I've got left here with kind of new stuff with low permeability. A quick note on the fittings to the tank. That's this one just here, this brass one that goes in, and this one just here. They did change throughout the life of the XJS. I'm not entirely sure which year exactly it changed, whether it was with the facelift, so it's probably best before you go ordering things to check what you have fitted. But yeah, there's essentially, I think, two versions of this fuel tank with the external fuel pump, and they have different fittings on there, so I'll just show you what the changes can be. This fuel pipe is one option. You have kind of a coarse thread here, and you have this green Viton seal O-ring. So that's the later style fitting. The earlier one looks much more like this one and utilises standard brass compression rings. So yeah, just be aware the inputs to your tank, depending on how old the tank is, could either be this coarse threaded Viton green olive type fitting, or a finer pitched brass fitting with a compression olive. And to go with the tanks, at least when I was looking for the parts, which was a fair few years ago now, there are tank fitting kits available from places like SNG Barrett, and they do effectively come with those fittings that are correct, and the foam pieces that hold the tank in, etc. But there are particular fitting kits depending on the year of the tank and the year of the car being used. So if you do any work on any of these fuel hoses and you have the system drained, there's a couple of things you might want to look at the same time. The first obvious one is to replace the fuel filter. Nice easy job to do when the tank is drained. And also in here, in the sump tank, you might want to remove this locking ring here. It's exactly the same as the one on the tank just there for the fuel sender. So there's like a rubber gasket behind there, so you kind of knock it out, pull this fitting out, and on the end of this pipe here, there is a little filter, like a pre-filter that goes before the fuel pump. So quite often that can be blocked with rust flakes and things. So when you've got the system drained, it's a good idea to remove this, pull this pipe out and just check that that filter is clear. Maybe replace it if you want to. And also, you know, clean out that little sump tank because it can get full of crud and rust flakes and things. So in terms of tank venting, I obviously removed all of this stuff, the canister, the pipework, the leaking Rochester valve, etc. And here's the solution I've gone with in my car. So these top 3 vents to the tank here, I have one of them blocked off. I have 2 of them teed together with a 3-way brass connector just there. That connects to a fuel pipe that goes up and into the buttress up here, about kind of this level. So it loops up into the buttress, comes back down, which is this pipe just here, goes along, it goes through this fuel filter just here. This is a typical standard inline type fuel filter, goes down here along the bottom here, and it exits below the car through a rubber grommet just down there. So it's an atmospherically vented tank on my car. So you do need some sort of venting on there, because obviously as you use fuel and the fuel level drops in the tank, if you didn't have some sort of venting, you'd get a vacuum effect in here and the whole tank could collapse as you drive along the motorway. And also when you're filling the tank from this end just here, if you don't have any sort of venting, you'll have issues filling it because the pressure inside won't be able to equalise. So when you're filling at the petrol station, it will go and it will constantly cut in and cut out. So you do need some sort of tank venting in place. Now, depending on where you live in the world, a ventilated tank like this may be permissible from an emissions perspective and may not be. Obviously, when you've got it vented like this, rather than going through a Rochester valve and to the front of the car, you are going to have a greater number of evaporative hydrocarbon emissions from the tank, which isn't the best really, but yeah, depending on where you live, it may be permissible, it may be not. I've got a feeling in places like California, a ventilated tank like this probably isn't allowed. And then just to wrap up the final point where you could get leaks or fuel smells, the tank itself can actually wear through on the bottom of it. There's a rivet from memory for one of the possibly heat shields underneath the car, but it comes through, you know, this sheet metal, and it can effectively rub through the very bottom of the tank, kind of like in this direction underneath. So that's something to be aware of. The tank can rust, of course, along the seams, particularly in the lower edge that you can't see, the one at the back here. And finally, you know, you can have leaks from the gaskets here. They're very cheap, very easy to replace, but that's something to watch for. And finally, the filler neck just at the top here. So you have this rubber piece that kind of joins the metal part of the filler to the tank. That's not the primary seal here. Where the metal bit actually pushes into this piece of the tank here, there is quite a large O-ring. So you might want to have a look at that as well. Again, it's fairly cheap to replace. If you do have this later style of fitting in the sump tank here, this is another point where they can leak, particularly around this small pipe connection. You know, it's only very lightly brazed in just there, and you can get kind of micro cracking. You know, when you're wrestling the hose on and off this, it can crack at that joint fairly easily. From memory, I think that's what happened with this one and why I replaced it with the earlier type. So it might be worth looking at if you've got this later style. So I think that about covers it. That's a very quick overview of all the fuel bits and pieces in the back of the car here. If you are going to replace them, it's just standard fuel hoses, you know, same principles apply as to the front of the car. Use high quality stuff basically, and correct clamps and so on. So good luck if you're facing fuel smells from the rear in locating and diagnosing them. Unfortunately, I do know from experience that it can be quite an arduous task in getting and identifying all of them. So please check out my other videos if on this car if you've found this interesting. I do have them in a playlist, a Jaguar VTOL playlist that I'll link at the end of the video. So for now, cheerio!